Hello, and welcome to our lesson on sort. Sort is kind of an interesting method because, at least in my mind, it works the opposite of how it should actually work. But I feel like we should be pretty accustomed to that at this point. So as usual, let's start with an array of numbers, right? So I'm gonna do 1, 6, 2, 10, and 70, and 8, or 9, or something like that. And that, why do I always do this? It's really weird. So like, r equals, there we go. So let's sort this, right? Sounds good. So let's do console.log. Let me pop this open here as console.log, and that's r.sort. So let's just call the function without anything else. So sort. And this happens, which is something that you've probably made fun, I've made fun of in JavaScript. So as you can see, it does 1, 10, and then 2, and then 6, and then you go to 70, and then you go to 9. But it returns all of this as numbers, which doesn't make sense. The way that it works is that it basically goes through every number, and if you don't pass a compare function, which is what goes in here, we will use later, it assumes it's undefined, which it is, and then it goes through each thing in that array that you just passed it, and stringifies it. It basically goes to string, and then it does it alphabetically, right? Which may not be the best way, but it is what it does. So this works fine if you're doing names. So let's do some names here. So let's put my name, Alejandra, and let's do something like Bernardo, and I don't know, John. Okay, it's badly spelled John. So in that case, it works because this is already string, so it sorts it alphabetically. So by default, array.sort will sort things alphabetically, but will transform all of them into a string, right? So it doesn't work on numbers. So let's make it actually work on numbers. So we have some clubs here, and they're not ordered by points, and they should be, right? They're just completely at random. So if you just try to do that sort, you will see that the exact same thing happens. Original clubs that sort will actually just do something completely random. Well, obviously just do absolutely nothing because it's trying to sort through an array of objects. So it's trying to stringify each object, and it just keeps it about the same way, right? So we want to pass a compare function. So a compare function receives 2 parameters. So it receives club A in this case. Let me not like this. Too much React. Club B. Okay, so, and what we want to do is order it by points. So let's get the points. And how this works is that there are 3 different things you can return from this function. You can return a positive number. Close enough. 0. A negative number. So what you can do is say, okay, if I return a positive number, what happens is that B goes above A, stays the same. And in this case, A goes above B. So what this means is that it does exactly the opposite of what you think you would do. So a positive number is, for example, if I return, so if club A is bigger, club A that points, let's not forget that part, is bigger than club B that points, club B that points. So what I would do generally, like as a, I should have not done this. This is an if, I apologize. If, and you just return 1, like that would make sense, right? And then if it doesn't, so it means that club A is smaller, then you just return -1. Just ignore it. So what happens is that it actually does it completely backwards. Because if you think about what I just said, it returns a positive number because I'm returning 1 if the club A points are bigger. And this basically means that club B goes above. So you literally have to think about this and then think about it backwards. It's just like putting a reverse here. If I put a reverse here, it works. So you gotta think of, if I return a negative number, doesn't matter if that's -1 or -235, what happens is that the number 1 thing, the A value, will come first. So what we need to do is not return -1, is return -1. And in here, we can return 1. And now it will sort them properly. There is an easier way to do this because, like I said, you can return any positive number or any negative number. So you don't have to return -1 or 1. So what you can do here is say return club B that points minus club A that points. And it will stay exactly the same because it was already fixed. And this is because, so let's say the club B has 10 points and club A has 23 points. What it means is that this will return -1, minus 13 in this case, because it's going to say club B and club A, and it's going to say 23 minus, 10, 23, sorry, no, 10. Yeah, this was not a good idea doing it like this. Let me just put it back and not save. So it's going to do 10 minus 23, and this is going to be -13, and then it's going to be, okay, this is negative, so A goes above B. I hope that makes sense. I do think it works kind of backwards, but I hope this helps in trying to understand kind of how it works. So if it returns a 0, then it just stays the same as well. So in this case, for example, Cole and Hoffenheim have both 14 points, so it just stays whatever the original array was. So if I come here and I look for Hoffenheim, and what is the other one? And Cologne. So Offenheim, as you can see, is at the bottom, so that's why it stayed before Cologne. So if I move this above, let me just move this at the very top, like that. I save, you can see that Offenheim now goes to the top because it doesn't do anything to it, because it has the same, it just returns 0. So we're not checking anything else. So yeah, I hope that helped, and I'll see you in the next one.